The silence of space is often described as peaceful, serene, even beautiful. But sometimes that silence is a scream. The scream in the void. It ripped through the void like a primal shriek, an emergency signal slicing through the inky blackness. Commander Vel, his forefinger hand pressed against the control panel, watched in horror as angry red lights pulsed across the bridge of his flagship. The Altarian Republic's pride, a marvel of engineering, was dying, and with it, perhaps the last ember of hope for the entire Galactic Defense Coalition. Commander, we've lost contact with the defense fleet at KTH Prime, Lieutenant Nix reported, his blue-scale face etched with weariness that had become a universal mask among Coalition forces these past 3 months. The Hive, they've breached our energy shields. Vel's large, dark eyes squeezed shut for a fleeting moment. 3 core worlds, 3 entire civilizations, swallowed whole by the chitinous nightmare that crawled from the galactic rim. The Hive, they moved like a plague. Their bioships, multiplying faster than the Coalition, could obliterate them. Every energy weapon, every plasma cannon, every particle beam they possessed seemed to just bounce off. Useless. How many ships do we have left? Vel's voice was a gravelly whisper, dreading the answer. 17 functional vessels, across all fleets. Commander, the Zerapim lost their entire battle group at Central 7. The Voron Defense Force retreated after losing 80% of theirs. 17 ships. The Coalition had begun this war with over 4,000. Now, they faced an enemy that grew stronger with every world it consumed, every species it absorbed into its grotesque collective. Vel moved to the main display, where the tactical map showed angry red markers spreading like a cancerous infection across Coalition space. The Hive moved in chilling, perfect coordination, their bioships working as if slave to a single monstrous mind. Individually, they weren't much, but their numbers, they were endless. A desperate plea. Sir, incoming transmission from Admiral Rex of the Combined Fleet, the comms officer announced, his voice tight. The holographic image of Admiral Rex flickered to life on the bridge. The Cauldron leader's usual proud bearing was gone, replaced by bone-deep exhaustion. His crystalline skin, usually vibrant, was dull, and his telepathic crown barely pulsed with energy. Vel, we need to evacuate KH Prime immediately, Rex said, no preamble, no customary greeting. The Hive has landed ground forces. Our energy weapons, they can't penetrate their bio-armor at close range. The civilian population, how long do we have? They'll cut him off, urgency clawing at his throat. Hours, maybe less. The planetary defense grid is down. Our ground forces are retreating to the capital, but they can't hold. We need reinforcements. Vel, we need them now. Vel looked around his bridge. His crew worked in grim silence, tried to coax life back into systems shredded in their last encounter with the Hive. They all knew the truth, a truth neither commander dared to voice. There were no reinforcements coming. I will send our emergency beacon to all Coalition worlds, Vel said, finally. Perhaps someone will answer. Rex's image nodded grimly, then winked out of existence. Vel turned to his comms officer. Send a priority distress signal on all Coalition frequencies. Tell them we need immediate military assistance at KTH Prime. Tell them. He paused, searching for words, any words, that might cut to the fear, that might convince someone, anyone, to help. Tell them this is our last stand. The signal screamed across the galaxy, carrying the Coalition's desperate plea to every member world. It traversed the vast, cold emptiness of space, reaching worlds that had already fallen, worlds preparing their own desperate defenses, and worlds that had never even heard of the Hive threat. An unlikely hero. 3 days out from Earth, Captain Torres was in the belly of his ship, the Star Runner, checking cargo manifests, mining equipment, medical supplies, routine work for a routine crew on a ship that had seen better decades. Captain, you need to hear this. Engineer Bob's voice boomed from the bridge. Torres climbed the narrow ladder, his boots clanking on the metal rungs. The Star Runner's bridge was cramped, functional, bathed in the soft green and amber glow of countless displays. What is it, Bob? Emergency transmission, sir. Coalition frequency. They're asking for military help. Torres frowned. Earth had only joined the Galactic Defense Coalition 2 years ago. Most member species still treated humans as newcomers, polite but distant, accepting Earth's membership while making it clear they consider human technology primitive. "Play it back," Torres ordered. The bridge speakers crackled with static. Then Commander Vell's voice filled the air, laced with desperation. He spoke of the hive, of fallen worlds, of millions of lives already lost. The Coalition's most advanced fleets had been obliterated. Their energy weapons were useless. They needed help from anyone. Torres stared at the star charts on his navigation screen. KTH Prime was a red smear now, an active threat zone. Entire civilizations being devoured by some kind of insectoid army that adapted to every weapon thrown at it. "Sir, what do we do?" Navigator Lisa asked, her voice barely a whisper. Torres had spent 15 years in Earth's Merchant Marine, 8 before that in the Terra Navy. He knew military protocol. He knew civilian vessels like the Star Runner had no business wading into galactic wars. But he also knew something else. People were dying. "Bob, can you boost our transmission power?" "Sure, Captain. How far do you want to reach?" "Earth. I want to reach Earth Command directly." Bob worked for several minutes, rerouting power from cargo bay lights, from non-essential systems. The Star Runner wasn't built for long-range communications, but Bob had been modifying ship systems for 20 years. If anyone could do it, he could. "You're connected, Captain. Direct channel to Earth Command." Torres activated the comm system and spoke, his voice clear, unwavering. "Earth Command, this is Captain Torres of the merchant vessel Star Runner. I am forwarding a priority distress signal from the Galactic Defense Coalition. They are requesting immediate military assistance. Multiple worlds have fallen to an unknown enemy force. Please advise." Earth answers. The response came faster than Torres expected. A crisp, military voice answered within minutes. "Star Runner, this is General Adams at Earth Command. We have received your transmission and the Coalition distress signal. Please maintain communication silence while we assess the situation." Torres waited, his crew working quietly around him, understanding the gravity of the moment, yet unsure of their role. The merchant ship continued its mundane journey through space, while Earth Command reviewed the Coalition's desperate plea. When General Adams came back on channel, his voice held a different tone. "Captain Torres, please relay the following message to Coalition forces. Earth Command is dispatching the 3rd Terra Marine Battalion and the 7th Fleet to provide assistance. Estimated arrival at KTH Prime in 72 hours. Tell them to hold their positions." Torres felt his breath catch. The 7th Fleet, Earth's largest military formation, and the 3rd Marines, among humanity's most experienced combat units. Earth Command was committing significant resources to help species most humans had never even heard of. "Understood, Earth Command. I will relay your message immediately." Torres opened a channel on Coalition frequencies and broadcast Earth's response. Somewhere in the darkness of space, alien commanders would learn that help was coming from the newest, most primitive member of their alliance. They had no idea what they had just asked for: the primitive savior. Admiral Rex stood on the observation deck of the Coalition command station, watching the blue-green planet of KTH Prime spin slowly below. Black smoke plumed from dozens of impact sites across the surface where hive bio ships had landed. The insectoid invaders were spreading like a disease, consuming everything in their path. "Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting incoming vessels." Commander Yax reported, the young Caltran officer's crystalline skin flickering with nervous energy. "Unknown configuration, approaching from Vector 77 Mark IV. Rex moved to the main display. "Show me." The tactical display revealed 15 ships moving toward KTH Prime at standard Coalition speed. The vessels were strange, angular, made of metal and ceramic, not the bioorganic materials most advanced species preferred. They looked primitive, almost crude, compared to the elegant, flowing lines of Coalition warships. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel," the comms officer announced. They identified themselves as the Terran 7th Fleet. Rex fell a moment of confusion. "Terran? Those are the humans?" "Yes, sir. The species that joined the Coalition 2 years ago. Their homeworld is classified as primitive by the Cultural Assessment Board. Rex vaguely remembered the humans. Earth had been granted coalition membership mostly as a diplomatic gesture. Despite their crude technology and backward social development, their representatives had seemed harmless enough, though there was something unsettling about their forward-facing eyes and their tendency to show their teeth when pleased. "Put them through," Rex ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the bridge of the human flagship. A human male in military uniform looked out at them, his face harder than Rex remembered from the diplomatic meetings, with scars visible on his jaw and neck. Behind him, other humans worked at control stations that seemed to use physical buttons and switches instead of the mental interfaces favored by civilized species. "This is Colonel Davis of the Terra Marine Corps," the human said in the harsh, guttural language humans called English. The universal translator converted his words with a slight delay. "We received your distress signal. Where do you need us?" Rex studied the human commander. Davis had the same unsettling forward-facing eyes as all his species, but there was something else there, a calm certainty that seemed utterly out of place given the desperate situation. "Colonel Davis, I am Admiral Rex of the Coalition Defense Force. We appreciate your response, but I must warn you, the situation is extremely dangerous. The Hive forces have already destroyed our most advanced battle fleets. Their bio-armor adapts to our energy weapons within minutes of first contact." Davis nodded. "Understood, Admiral. How many enemy forces are we facing?" "Ground estimates suggest over 50,000 individual Hive drones across the planet's surface, with an unknown number still aboard the bio-ships in orbit. Each drone stands approximately 8 feet tall, with natural weapons that can cut through our strongest alloys. Any air support? The Hive uses flying creatures, approximately the size of our fighter craft. They move in coordinated swarms and have proven immune to our plasma weapons." Davis turned to speak with another human on his bridge, their conversation too quiet for the translator to pick up. When he faced the screen again, his expression hadn't changed. "Admiral, we're going to begin landing operations immediately. My Marines will establish a beachhead around the capital city, while our fleet provides orbital support." Rex felt his crystalline skin darken with concern. These humans clearly didn't understand what they were facing. "Colonel, with respect, your people may not be equipped for this type of combat. The Hive is unlike any enemy the Coalition has encountered. Perhaps it would be better if you remained in orbit and provided logistical support." Something flickered in Davis's eyes, a primal intensity that made Rex instinctively step back from the screen. For a fleeting moment, the human looked like something ripped from the nightmare stories Rex had heard as a child. "Admiral, my Marines are ready for combat. We'll be on the ground in 2 hours." The transmission ended, leaving Rex staring at a blank screen. Around him, the Coalition bridge crew worked quietly, preparing for what many believe will be their final battle. Unstoppable force. 2 hours later, Rex watched through long-range sensors as the human fleet began launching objects toward the planet's surface. The Coalition tactical computers identified them as simple kinetic projectiles, chunks of metal, accelerated to high velocity by chemical explosives. "Admiral, the humans are bombarding the planet with primitive weapons," Commander Yax reported, disbelief in his voice. "They appear to be using solid projectiles rather than energy weapons." Rex shook his head. These humans were even more backward than he had thought. Kinetic weapons had been abandoned by most civilized species thousands of years ago. They were crude, inefficient, and caused unnecessary destruction to planetary infrastructure. The first human landing craft descended through KTH Prime's atmosphere 30 minutes later. Simple metal boxes with chemical rockets. Nothing like the elegant anti-gravity vessels used by Coalition forces. Rex watched as dozens of these crude transports landed in the ruins of the capital city, directly in the middle of the largest Hive concentration. "Sir, Coalition ground forces are reporting contact with human military units," the comms officer announced. "The humans are advancing directly toward the Hive positions." Rex activated his personal communicator. "Commander Vel, what is your status?" Vel's voice crackled through the speaker, punctuated by the sharp crackle of weapons fire. "Admiral, the humans have landed in Sector 7. They are moving toward the main hive concentration on foot. I tried to warn them about the drone swarms, but there was a pause, filled with more weapon sounds. Admiral, you need to see this. The main display switched to a ground-level view from one of Vel's reconnaissance drones. Rex watched in growing fascination as human soldiers advanced down a street choked with rubble and abandoned vehicles. They moved in small, coordinated groups, each human carrying what appeared to be a primitive projectile weapon. Hive drones erupted from behind buildings, from sewage tunnels, just as they had when they overwhelmed coalition ground forces. 8-foot-tall insectoid creatures with razor-sharp claws and bio-armor that could deflect energy weapons. They moved with coordinated precision, surrounding the human soldiers from multiple directions. Rex expected to see the humans retreat, as any sensible species would when faced with such odds. Instead, the humans did something that made Rex question his understanding of galactic biology. They charged. The human soldiers ran directly toward the hive drones, their weapons spitting rapid bursts of solid projectiles. The primitive bullets struck the bio-armor that had proved immune to coalition plasma weapons, and the armor, it cracked. Pieces of chitin flew through the air as the kinetic rounds punched through biological defenses that had seemed invincible. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. The most disturbing part was watching the humans themselves. These creatures moved like predators. They split into groups without verbal communication, flanking the hive drones with a tactical precision that suggested millions of years of evolutionary hunting behavior. When hive creatures struck back with their natural weapons, the humans absorbed impacts that should have killed them and continued fighting. Rex watched one human soldier take a claw strike across his chest that would have killed any coalition species. The human stumbled, looked down at his torn uniform and bleeding wound, then shot the hive drone in what Rex assumed was its head. "Commander Vel," Rex said quietly into his communicator, "what exactly are these humans?" "I don't know, Admiral," Vel replied, a note of awe in his voice. "But they are winning." On the tactical display, red markers representing hive positions began disappearing as human forces advanced through the city. The primitive projectile weapons that coalition scientists had dismissed as crude and ineffective were systematically destroying an enemy that had seemed unstoppable. Rex realized that Earth's classification as a primitive world might need to be reconsidered. The Deathworlders. Dr. Kane stepped off the human transport shuttle and immediately began coughing. The air on KTH Prime was thick with smoke and dust from the ongoing battle. Around him, coalition medical staff rushed to treat wounded soldiers from both human and alien forces. Admiral Rex approached the human doctor, his crystalline skin flickering with curiosity and concern. "Dr. Kane, thank you for coming. We have many questions about your species." Kane adjusted his medical scanner and looked around the makeshift command center. Coalition officers worked at their stations while human soldiers moved through the area with casual confidence. The contrast was striking. The aliens moved carefully, as if the damaged environment might harm them at any moment. The humans, they acted like they belonged in a war zone. "What would you like to know, Admiral?" Kane asked, opening his portable medical kit. "Your soldiers," Rex began carefully. "They are different from what we expected. The hive drones that have been killing our forces seem unable to effectively combat your people. How is this possible?" Dr. Kane smiled, showing his teeth in a human expression that many coalition species found disturbing. "Admiral, has anyone explained to you what kind of world Earth is?" "Your planet is classified as primitive by our cultural standards," Rex replied. "Limited technology, tribal conflicts, crude energy systems." "That's not what I mean," Kane said. He activated a holographic display from his medical scanner. "I mean the biological classification. Earth is rated as a Class 12 death world by galactic standards." Commander Vel, who had been listening nearby, stepped closer. "Death world? What does that mean?" Kane's display showed images of Earth's surface. Mountains covered in ice and snow, deserts where temperatures reached deadly extremes, oceans that could crush most life forms under their pressure. It means that Earth is actively trying to kill everything that lives on it. The weather, the animals, the plants, the diseases, even the air pressure changes can be fatal to most galactic species. Rex studied the images with growing alarm. Your people evolved on this world? Not just evolved, Admiral. We thrived. Humans spread across every continent, every climate zone, every environment that Earth could create. We learned to survive in places where the temperature drops low enough to freeze most biological fluids solid. We learned to live at altitudes where there is barely enough oxygen to breathe. We swim in water that would crush your bones and climb mountains just for entertainment. Vel's blue scales darkened with concern. Entertainment? Oh, yes. Kane continued, clearly enjoyed the alien reactions. Humans engage in activities for fun that would be considered extreme survival training by most species. We jump out of aircraft for pleasure. We climb vertical rock faces without safety equipment. Some humans run for over 26 miles without stopping, just to see if they can. Kane switches display to show Earth's wildlife. Images of massive predators with razor-sharp teeth, venomous creatures smaller than a finger that could kill in minutes, and insects that could strip flesh from bone in hours. These are some of the creatures that humans evolved alongside. Kane explained, we shared our world with predators that make your hive drones look gentle. The average human child learns to identify dozens of plants and animals that could kill them before they reach adult age. Admiral Rex felt his telepathic crown flickering with distress. How do your people survive? We adapt, Kane said simply. Human immune systems are designed to fight off diseases that would kill most galactic life forms in hours. Our bones are dense enough to withstand impacts that would shatter other species. Our muscles and cardiovascular systems are built for endurance hunting, chasing prey across vast distances until it collapses from exhaustion. A commotion outside the command center interrupted their conversation. Through the doorway, they could see human soldiers working on some kind of equipment. Sergeant Lopez was connecting coalition energy weapons to human projectile systems, creating hybrid devices that no engineer from either species had designed. What is he doing? Vel asked. Improvising, Kane replied. Humans are very good at taking existing technology and modify it for new purposes. We call it making do or jury-rigging. It comes from millions of years of using whatever tools were available to survive. They watched as Lopez tested his modified weapon. The device fired a coalition energy beam wrapped around a human kinetic projectile. When it struck a piece of hive bioarmor, the armor didn't just crack, it disintegrated. Rex turned back to Kane. Your people created that weapon in what, an hour? Probably less, Kane said. Lopez is trained as a combat engineer, but most humans learn basic mechanical and technical skills as children. We have to. Our world doesn't provide anything easily. Every tool, every shelter, every source of food or water has to be taken from an environment that's actively hostile. A human medic approach, carrying a stretcher. On it lay Private Johnson, who had been exposed to a high bioweapon during the morning's fighting. Coalition medical staff had pronounced him dead after scanning showed the alien toxin in his bloodstream. Johnson sat up on the stretcher and looked around. Doc, can I get back to my squad? I feel fine. Kane scanned Johnson with his medical equipment, while Rex and Vel watched in shock. The hive bioweapon was still in the human system, but his body was neutralizing it faster than it could cause damage. How is he alive? Vel whispered. Human immune system, Kane explained. We evolved on a world where deadly toxins are common. Snake venom, plant poisons, bacterial infections, viral diseases. The human body is essentially a biological warfare laboratory, constantly fighting off threats that would kill most species instantly. Johnson stood up and stretched. Thanks, document. I'll try to avoid getting poisoned again. As the private walked away, Rex grabbed Kane's arm. Doctor, how many humans are there on Earth? About 8 billion. And how many are in your military? Kane thought for a moment. Active military forces, maybe 50 million across all branches and planetary colonies. Rex did the calculation in his head. The human military represented less than 1% of their total population. If the soldiers they were seeing represented such a small fraction of humanity, what was the rest of their species capable of? Dr. Kane, Vel said slowly, when your people applied for coalition membership, why didn't you explain what kind of species you were? Kane looked genuinely confused by the question. We did. We provided complete biological and environmental data about Earth and human capabilities. It was all in our application. But your planet was classified as primitive. Technologically, yes. Kane agreed. We're newcomers to space travel and energy weapons. But biologically, he gestured toward the human soldiers moving through the command center. We're exactly what evolution creates when it spends millions of years trying to build the perfect survivor. Outside, the sound of battle continued as human forces pushed deeper into Hive territory. Coalition soldiers who had been retreating for months were now advancing alongside their human allies, watching in amazement as creatures they had feared proved unable to effectively fight against Deathworld predators. Rex realized that the Coalition had made a fundamental error in their assessment of humanity. They had judged the humans by their technology and missed a far more important factor. Earth had spent millions of years creating the perfect soldiers, and humans didn't even realize how unusual they were. The impossible mission. The main Hive bio-ship hung in orbit above KTH Prime, like a massive organic tumor against the stars. Commander Vell watched it through the Coalition Command Center's main display. Knowing that somewhere inside that living vessel was a Hive Queen, the creature that controlled every drone on the planet below. Admiral, human forces are requesting permission to board the Hive ship. Lieutenant Nix reported, his voice tinged with awe. Admiral Rex turned from a tactical display, where he had been watching human ground forces systematically destroy Hive positions across 3 continents. In 12 hours, the humans had accomplished what Coalition forces had failed to do in 3 months of fighting. Board the ship? Rex asked, incredulous. That's suicide. The bio-ship's interior is filled with toxic atmosphere. The temperature inside reaches levels that would kill most life forms, and there are thousands of Hive drones protecting the Queen. Sir, the human commander says they have a plan. Rex activated his communicator. Colonel Davis, this is Admiral Rex. I cannot authorize a boarding action on the Hive ship. The environment alone would kill your people within minutes. Davis's voice came through the speaker with the same calm, almost attached tone he had used since arriving. Admiral, my people are equipped for hostile environment operations. We've done this kind of mission before. Against enemy ships. Against worse things. We're launching in 30 minutes. Rex looked at Commander Vell, who could only shake his head in amazement. These humans seemed to view impossible missions as routine operations. Into the belly of the beast, Lieutenant Maya led the boarding party of 20 human soldiers toward the Hive bio-ship in 2 small attack craft. The Coalition had provided environmental suits designed for their own species, but the humans had modified them with typical human adaptability. They added extra oxygen tanks, reinforced the joints, and installed their own communication systems. Maya, what's your status? Colonel Davis asked over the radio. Approaching the target. Sir, the bio-ship's surface is showing signs of defensive response. Through her helmet display, Maya could see the Hive ship's organic hull rippling and changing color as it detected their approach. Defensive spines began growing from the surface, and weapon ports opened like infected wounds. Defensive fire incoming. Sergeant Smith reported from the second craft. The Hive ship began shooting streams of corrosive bioplasma at the human attack craft. Maya watched the energy beams pass close enough to her ship to melt the outer hull plating. Any Coalition pilot would have retreated at this point, calling the mission impossible. Maya increased her speed and flew directly at the largest weapon port. Maya, what are you doing? Davis's voice crackled through the radio. Creating an entrance, sir. The human attack craft slammed into the Hive ship's weapon port at full speed. The organic opening collapsed around the small vessel, creating a tunnel through the bio-ship's defensive systems. Maya and her team emerged from their damaged craft, wearing full environmental suits and carrying enough firepower to level a small building. The interior of the Hive ship was like walking inside a living nightmare. The walls pulsed with alien circulation systems. The floor was covered in a substance that felt like walking on raw meat. The air was thick with spores and toxins that would have killed most galactic species instantly. Temperature is reading 200 degrees Celsius. Private Wilson reported through his suit radio. Atmospheric composition is 90% methane with trace amounts of sulfur compounds. suits holding. Maya asked, "So far, Lieutenant, though I'm getting some readings that suggest the local bacteria are trying to eat through our equipment." Maya smiled inside her helmet. Earth's military had trained for operations in environments ranging from the deepest ocean trenches to the surface of active volcanoes. A high bioship was unpleasant, but it wasn't the worst place humans had fought. The team moved deeper into the ship, following passages that seemed to grow and change around them. The hive ship was alive in ways that Coalition technology couldn't match. It adapted to their presence, trying to block their path or channel them into defensive positions. The humans adapted faster. Sergeant Smith used explosive charges to blow through walls that tried to close around them. Private Wilson identified weak points in the ship structure by comparing it to biological systems he had studied in Earth's military training. Maya navigated through the changing passages by using skills that humans had developed over millions of years of hunting in complex environments. They reached the ship's core in less than an hour. The Hive Queen was waiting for them. She was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest Hive drone, with psychic abilities that had driven Coalition soldiers insane during previous encounters. Her presence filled the chamber with a telepathic pressure that felt like standing next to an active volcano. She attacked their minds immediately. The psychic assault struck the human soldiers like a physical blow. Maya felt the alien intelligence trying to tear apart her consciousness, flooding her thoughts with images of death and despair. The Hive Queen had broken the minds of every Coalition soldier who had faced her. Human minds were different. Maya pushed back against the psychic attack, using mental disciplines that humans had developed through millions of years of surviving in hostile environments. The human brain, evolved to handle extreme stress and life-threatening situations, didn't shatter under pressure. It focused. Plant the charges. Maya ordered through gritted teeth. Her team moved through the chamber, while the Hive Queen continued her psychic assault. Wilson placed nuclear charges around the ship's core systems while Smith and the others established a defensive perimeter. The human soldiers fought through telepathic attacks that would have killed most species, treating the mental assault as just another environmental hazard to overcome. The Hive Queen realized that her psychic abilities were not affecting the humans as expected. She called for her drone guards, filling the chamber with dozens of 8-foot-tall warriors designed to protect her at all costs. The humans had been expecting this. Maya's team opened fire with weapons that combined human kinetic technology with Coalition energy systems. The hybrid weapons tore through Hive bioarmor like paper. Nuclear charges are set. Wilson reported. 10 minutes to detonation. Maya, what's your status? Colonel Davis asked over the radio. Mission complete, sir. We're heading home. The team fought their way back through the changing passages of the bioship, leaving behind a nuclear weapon that would destroy the Hive Queen and the enemy's command structure. They moved with the efficiency of predators who had evolved to hunt in groups, covering each other's movements and adapting to every obstacle the ship placed in their path. They reached their extraction point with 3 minutes to spare. As the human attack craft pulled away from the Hive bioship, Maya looked back at the massive organic vessel. In 60 seconds, it would be destroyed by technology that the Coalition considered primitive and barbaric. Nuclear weapons were banned by most civilized species as too dangerous for military use. Humans considered them standard equipment. The dawn of a new age. A blinding explosion lit up the space around KTH Prime like a new star. The Hive Queen died instantly, and with her, the psychic connection that coordinated every Hive drone in the system. On the planet below, thousands of enemy soldiers suddenly stopped moving, their collective intelligence severed. Admiral Rex watched the explosion from the Coalition Command Center, finally understanding what Captain Torres had meant when he said that Earth was sending help. The humans hadn't just provided military assistance. They had brought the tools and techniques of a species that had survived on a world where everything was designed to kill them. The Coalition had asked for reinforcements and received something far more valuable. They had learned that the galaxy contained allies who viewed impossible missions as routine operations. The cleanup operations on KTH Prime took 3 days. Admiral Rex walked through the capital city, watching human soldiers work alongside Coalition forces to clear debris and search for survivors. The contrast between the two groups was impossible to ignore. Coalition troops moved carefully through the ruined streets, checking their environmental suits and monitoring their exposure to local hazards. The humans worked in simple uniforms, breathing the polluted air without concern. "Admiral, the final casualty reports are ready," Commander Vell said, approaching with a data pad in his hands. Rex took the report and read through the numbers. Coalition forces had lost 60% of their remaining troops during the 3-day battle. The humans had lost less than 5% of their force, despite leading every major assault. "How is this possible?" Rex asked quietly. "I have been studying their combat recordings," Vell replied. "The humans fight differently than any species I have encountered. They do not retreat when wounded. They do not panic when surrounded. They treat each battle as if their survival depends on winning." Rex watched a group of human medics treating injured coalition soldiers. The humans worked with efficient precision, using medical techniques that seemed primitive but proved remarkably effective. One medic was explaining to a Culturan officer how to treat infection using something called antibiotics. "Their medicine is also strange," Vell continued. "They use chemical compounds to fight disease instead of energy healing. Yet their methods work better than our advanced systems against high bioweapons." Colonel Davis approached the 2 coalition officers, carrying his helmet under one arm. His uniform was torn and stained from 3 days of combat, but he moved with the same calm confidence he had shown when first arriving. "Admiral Rex, we need to discuss the remaining Hive ships in this system," Davis said. Rex consulted his tactical display. Long-range sensors show 7 bioships retreating toward the outer planets. "Our remaining forces are not sufficient to pursue them." "My ships can handle it," Davis replied. "But I wanted to coordinate with your people first. This is coalition space, after all." Rex stared at the human colonel. 7 Hive bioships represented enough firepower to destroy most planetary defense fleets. Davis was suggesting that 15 human vessels could handle them alone. "Colonel, perhaps it would be better to wait for additional coalition reinforcements." Davis smiled, showing his teeth in the expression that Rex was beginning to understand meant genuine amusement rather than aggression. "Admiral, with respect, we've been fighting creatures like this for millions of years. The Hive is dangerous, but they're not the worst thing Earth has produced." "What could be worse than the Hive?" Vell asked, his scales rippling with curiosity. "Humans," Davis said simply, "when we're really angry." A new alliance. 6 hours later, Rex watched through long-range sensors as the human fleet engaged the retreating Hive ships near the system's outer gas giant. The battle was over in less than 20 minutes. The human vessels used tactics that no coalition strategist had ever considered, coordinating kinetic bombardments with energy weapons in patterns that overwhelmed Hive defenses. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Earth Command," Lieutenant Nix announced from the communication station. Rex activated the main display, expecting to see another human military officer. Instead, he found himself looking at a human female in civilian clothing. She appeared older than the soldiers he had been working with gray hair and eyes that suggested extensive experience. "This is Director Walsh of Earth Diplomatic Corps," the woman said. "I understand that our military forces have been assisting coalition operations in your region." "Yes, Director Walsh. Your people have been extremely effective." Walsh nodded. "I'm calling to discuss the long-term implications of this cooperation. Earth is interested in expanding our role within the coalition, particularly in defense matters." Rex felt his crystalline skin flicker with uncertainty. The humans had just demonstrated military capabilities that exceeded anything the coalition possessed. If they wanted to expand their influence, there was very little anyone could do to stop them. "What kind of expansion are you considering?" Rex asked carefully. "Earth would like to establish joint training programs with coalition military forces," Walsh explained. "We believe our experience with hostile environments and asymmetric warfare could benefit your people. In exchange, we would appreciate access to coalition energy weapon technology and star charts for the Outer Rim territories." Rex exchanged glances with Commander Vell. The humans were offering to teach coalition forces how to fight more effectively in exchange for technology and information. It was a generous offer from a species that could probably take whatever they wanted by force. "Director Walsh, may I ask why Earth is interested in the Outer Rim territories?" Walsh's expression became more serious. Admiral, Earth's long-range surveys have identified several other species that appear to originate from high-gravity, hostile environment worlds. We call them Deathworld species. Most of them are currently classified as primitive by Coalition standards. You want to contact them? We want to invite them to join the Coalition, Walsh said. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. The Hive was just one threat among many. Having more allies who understand survival and warfare could benefit everyone. Rex considered this. The thought of more human-like species joining the Coalition was both exciting and terrifying. If other Deathworld species possess similar capabilities, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift dramatically. How many of these Deathworld species have you identified? Vel asked. 17 confirmed, with possible indicators of 12 more. Walsh replied. Most of them are isolated on single worlds, dealing with local threats that would challenge even human forces. They could use allies. Rex realized that the humans were not seeking to dominate the Coalition. They were trying to build it into something stronger, something capable of handling threats that energy weapons and advanced technology could not solve. Director Walsh, Earth's proposal is acceptable to Coalition Command, Rex said. We would be honored to learn from your people. The new frontier. After the transmission ended, Rex stood in the command center, looking out at the stars. 3 days ago, he had commanded a failing defense against an unstoppable enemy. Now, he was part of an alliance that included species capable of treating impossible missions as routine operations. Colonel Davis appeared beside him, still carrying his helmet, and looking like he had just finished a training exercise rather than a galactic war. Colonel, may I ask you something? Rex said, Of course, Admiral. When your people received our distress signal, did you know what you were getting into? Davis considered the question seriously. We knew people were dying and someone needed help. The rest was just details to work out. Rex watched through the viewport as human ships moved through the system, conducting search and rescue operations for survivors on outer planets. These creatures from Earth had traveled across the galaxy to help strangers fight an enemy they had never encountered, using weapons their own allies considered primitive. The Coalition had asked for reinforcements and received something unprecedented. Partners who viewed the survival of others as their own responsibility. Rex realized that the galaxy had just become a much safer place, and a much more dangerous one for anyone who threatened innocent life. This is just the beginning. The age of the Deathworlders has begun. What kind of threats do you think these new allies will face together? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the stars.